Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mulus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
Welcome back. Quick announcements. Let's see here. As always, links in the show notes. The Etsy store is still shut down for right now while I finish up some large projects that are going out. Probably looking at another couple weeks, and then I'll have it back open if you wanted to order anything. Also, I'm going to be recording one of the KCBBL's league games, that's the Kansas City Blood Bowl League, every week as a feature match, and that will be posted on our YouTube channel. So if you're either in the KCBBL or just want to follow a league, there will be weekly battle reports for Blood Bowl up soon. And I think that's it. Parker, do we have any news?
No news today. No news is good news.
No news to worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that brings us to currently playing. Currently playing for me, I'm still playing my Brotherhood list. I've gotten several games in with it. This is probably a good enough time to talk about this. So I played, one of my first games back was against Aaron playing Namor with, that was your Criminals list? What were you playing affiliation-wise for that?
Yeah, it was Shadowland Criminals.
That was Shadowland? Okay. And then
or maybe it was Red Skull 3. I can't remember which one. I think into you it might have been the Red Skull version.
You had Angela, is all I remember. Angela and Namor.
I don't think she was in Red Skull, so that was definitely the Shadowland version.
Okay. I don't remember you having Daredevil, but that sounds.
Those are the only two Namor lists I put on the table.
Yeah, I can't think of what else you would have been playing. Maybe you just played leaderless because we played a weird point total.
Nope, haven't done that.
Okay. Anyway, and then this last week I played 2 games back to back against your Asgard list, which is just new Loki with stuff. So after this extensive testing, I have come to a decision. Namor is way worse than Loki. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about.
Oh my god.
So after 2 games against Loki, I really he's annoying, but he's not that bad. There's plenty of models just as annoying.
Hold on, what was that? Oh my god! For do you hard disagree, Aaron? Is that what's going? Was that what?
Aaron does in fact hard disagree. I know.
Yes. There's nothing fucking wrong with Namor. That's my decision.
I would rather play against Loki than Namor, and I think literally every game I play.
Okay, that's a personal choice. I can't say you're wrong. I will say that in the 3 games I've played with Loki, I have found that list to be less boogeyman than maybe I was led to believe.
Yeah, I think a lot of the newer models have had a lot of shock value, like, separate from how good they are in a vacuum.
Yep.
And obviously, when you're not used to what they do, because there's a couple times that, I didn't understand the interaction, I kind of walked into something. But outside of that, the leadership, or not even leadership, his superpower, the fact that it's not a leadership and it's just an ability he has, that is dumb. That you could just put that in other lists, right? That shouldn't be a thing. But it's not the most broken thing ever, right?
I mean, we're gonna continue to. I'm going to refuse to pass definitive judgment until I've played more than 3 games. But signs are pointing to potentially an NPE based off of how a specific game rolls out. But
sure,
in the grand scheme of things, probably not the worst thing the game has ever seen.
Yeah. Something can be a negative play experience and it not be broken. That's not necessarily the same mechanic.
Right. It's just the one time when you roll 4 skulls and he's just take sure. 8, you get 1 shot. You're like, okay, great.
Yeah. He's going to have, really unfortunate dice spikes, and that's just part of the game. You're going to get bad runs where you hit skulls on 8 consecutive rolls just in general against his team, and that's going to suck. So yeah. I mean, that's just going to be a problem sometimes. But at the same time, you can get to the exact same problem with Red Skull when he hits a crit on or double crits on every single attack for 2 rounds. You're like, yeah, this is not fun. Or Thanos just running the table on Researcher. It's yeah, this isn't fun. But just that doesn't mean the mechanic of its own is broken and unstoppable.
Yeah. Just the anecdote.
Loki 1 is. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I said the anecdote from our 2 games that sticks out for me. One, I was trying to keep track of how many times Thor and Loki ended up doing, chip damage. It wasn't nearly huge. I got to like 6
Yeah.
or so. Part of that's
People
based
were-
off of the list we're playing and where I was positioning Loki. He wasn't always in the exact center. But what he did was killed a 1 health Magneto. I rolled shit dice, but you rolled 1 skull in your defense, and I was just like, and you die.
Sure, but I mean, Bullseye literally does that on every attack.
Sure. I'm just saying, like, that was the last
Mm.
attack / ability of the turn.
Sure.
Around.
No, it was definitely important that he got Magneto dead. But at the same time, him just attacking Magneto had like a 70% chance to kill him. It was just extra insurance that if I roll a skull and 6 dice, that it happens anyway.
Yep. So anyway, statistically did not have a huge impact in the number of times the abilities were useful, but when they were useful, they were extremely useful. I guess that was my takeaway. And again, that was just based off of a very small sample size into a specific list.
Mm-hmm. There was one turn there's a game we had where Juggernaut just melted, but that was mostly just due to really unfortunate dice rolls on both sides.
Yeah, that was Mighty Thor going off with roll 6, reroll 2.
Yeah. Mighty Thor she got 6 on 6, I blocked 0, and then didn't have power to DR, and then the builder gave him exactly enough power to throw a size 4, which then did like 2 or 4 more damage. And then the next turn, I failed 2 pay-to-flip rolls on meteors, took damage from skulls on both, and then died to Loki's skull thing. So it was just a chaotic air of just god-awful dice rolls for Juggernaut that had almost nothing to do with anything he brought to the table, right? Like, that was not a representation of how Mighty Thor does against Juggernaut. That was just shit dice.
It's kind of interesting that I feel like, on purpose, they did a really good job with Loki's design, because I've never heard of somebody saying, I played a game against or with Loki, and it was normal. There was no weird, chaotic strangeness. Like, but that's his character, right? That's literally his character from the comic books.
There's literally every game of Marvel has weird, chaotic strangeness. So,
I think he turns it up. I think so far in my experience against him, the kind of situations, the amount of interactions you have on single dice rolls just makes strange things happen. I think it's him not on the board streamlines the game. It makes it just happen, as opposed to constantly looking and checking so many dice and interactions. I think interactions happen more often when he's on the board.
Yeah, with the way Jeremy was talking about how quickly you're just gonna like melt, and not even just Jeremy, like people at the most recent tournament we had as well, were talking about how Loki's just like melting their team because of all the skulls. I'm just like, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see how they're taking that much damage from the skulls. Because, like, we did it over 2 games. We only had, like, 10 damage.
Yeah, so part of it is the crises that are being played. We played on relatively spread out crises, and I played Loki very safe and off to the side. So he wasn't center affecting every die roll. You also played relatively tall with Magneto and Jugs every game. So I do think that list is extremely problematic for what I would call a plays fair, 5 wide at 17 type list. I think that list will present some problems.
What is it about that you think it will be more of a problem for a wider list? Because
the more attacks you're throwing into Loki's character, like people with rapid fire, is just like, why would you ever rapid fire into, say, Loki with Mystique? Like, that is just the worst thing you could ever do.
First, because he can't respond, so you don't take damage from the skull.
Fine, not Mystique. Punisher.
It's your example.
Got me.
Fucking got him. Walked right into that one.
I did.
You just got deceived. But yeah, like, you're just not going to be able to cover your whole team. And so I think it's about taking advantage of the times when you can attack people that aren't under the bubble. But also, it's just like, okay, like, you're going to take some skull damage. It's fine.
Yep. Either that or don't engage, one of the two.
Yeah. You also
not engage is going to lose, so I guess
how many people have access to board control? Because, like, all I did every game was like, I was okay. I have a guy who has displacement. I'm going to displace Loki. Do you want to immediately activate him to move him back? And then he can't do anything else. And you're like, not really, because he's kind of an important model. I don't want to just randomly activate him at the beginning of a turn. And so, well, now he's not in position to do anything. And if you do activate him and move him back, it's like, well, now I can just, board control him a second time or move somebody else and get him out of the bubble, because I now know where the bubble is for the rest of the turn. You can spread out yourself. Like, if you're playing a spread out scenario, he just can't cover the whole board. And so there's going to be times that they're just not in the area, or that Loki had to go do something specific. And even if it is most attacks for the whole game, it is annoying, but it's not like you can't overcome that.
Yep.
I would say the biggest problem about him is that he counts skulls on both sides. And most people that do stuff like that, it's like only on their spenders. But skulls on both sides is definitely very spiky, consistent dice. And because it's not just good sometimes, it's good a lot of the time, and then also extra. Anyway, I'll probably play a handful more games with my Brotherhood list, and then I'm going to try out some new stuff. I want to get Mighty Thor on the table myself. I want to try out the Go Wide Asgard, and then I also want to try the new Spider Foes, and I'm probably going to put Red Skull 3 on the table at some point too. So it's like kind of what I'm looking at moving into.
Cool.
Aaron, what are you playing?
I'm still playing Asgard.
Just straight up Asgard, or do you do no
He's
special
playing
sauce?
Loki. He's playing Loki.
I've got Mighty Thor there too, so I might look at running the different leaderships in various situations. No, I'm just putting new Asgard on the table, just to see, put it through its paces.
Since we are kind of on the topic, has nobody put Loki in Spider Foes yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Because that seems obvious as like super traps. It's just like anything you do, you take damage.
Sure.
He's a little expensive for foes, a little, but not too much.
Sure, like he's definitely on the pricey end, but it's like, is it just fine though? Because he's a good model for 5 points. It's not like that's terrible. And then you can synergize, because what is it? Is his spender moves people on damage, advances?
I mean, his builder
So-
on a crit wild, I think. Anyway, his builder can advance, and his spender auto does it on damage.
Just thinking between Shocker, Loki, and Green Goblin, you can get a lot of annoying trap effects out there, and you still have points left.
Yep.
Not Shocker, sorry, Electro is who I meant.
Shocker. Because he doesn't shock. Shocker doesn't shock.
That's correct. Yeah, you need somebody who can shock.
Yeah.
Ends a move within 3, you do damage for crits and hits.
Yeah.
And then after attacking characters attacking, if they just attack you within 3, they take a damage and shock. That's pretty silly.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm playing right now because you're going to help me decide right now. It's part of the next segment. Whichever one excites me the most, whichever one gives me the most mouth feels. That's what I'm going to play next.
Whichever one excites us the most.
Yeah, but we know who really is the one pulling out the models here. I'm going to be pulling out the models, but I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you guys think.
I dislike it.
Okay. Moving on then to Comic Corner.
Wait, I thought your lists were Comic Corner today.
I have so much. I have so much to give today. I am a font of content. A fontent, if you will. So do you want to just move into this next segment where you guys help me review all these lists I made?
No.
Okay. I honestly don't know what I'm going to play next.
Just start already.
Okay.
We're waiting.
Here we go. So, in my forced hiatus from getting to play because the Plinko chips keep falling and I don't get to play. I have, in order to satiate my need for gaming, just been building lists. And I sat down one afternoon for about 4 or 5 hours. I just built lists. And so I have a plethora. I redid all my old lists for new tactics cards, but after the shakeup of the meta, after some of the responses from these tournaments, and then what I see people are playing specifically in tactics cards and some strategies, I'm building some things. So I'm going to give you guys as many lists as we care to do, and then you could tell me if you think they have legs. I'm going to start with the gimmick lists. These are 2 lists that I think make use of a specific gimmick that I think is really strong. So you tell me what you think. The first one is Mass Transit. The name of the list is the Long Con because it's all about getting an incredible early game pressure. The list doesn't look like that's what it's going to do. It looks kind of like a standard X-Men / X-Force list. It just happens to have some X-Force members in too. It is an Uncanny X-Men list primarily ran by Professor X. But the idea is when it goes down on the table, I am planning on using Nightcrawler and Mass Transit to get enormous amounts of tempo in the center of the board early. I came up with this after the 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 nerf to tactics cards that allow you to steal easily from the center of the board. There are just not that many characters that are doing it anymore. So the likelihood of you running into somebody who has to come to the middle and fight for turn 1 is higher. So I thought, what if I just took like 3 or 4 of my models and put them on the center point turn 1 without an activated token? How awesome would it be to be there and start doing a lot of damage to my opponent? Yes.
How do you trigger the mass transit on the first turn? What's your plan?
So Professor X is a combination with Professor X's
Right.
School for Gifted Youngsters plus Wong. So
Okay.
Wong moves.
So you're spending Wong's entire activation
to
right?
move. He moves once onto
once.
the back point, right? Whatever it is.
Mhm.
Gains a power and then passes one.
Right. But he won't have any power to pick up or interact with the objective. So all he can do is stand on a point, right? Because it's 2 to pass.
Yes, 2 to pass. So yes, he's
So
he's
both
not
actions 2 to pass. So he can't interact, but he can contest.
Right.
And then he's spending both of his actions, and then you're going to mass transit, which is going to be one of Nightcrawler's actions.
Mm-hmm.
And Nightcrawler's probably not going to be in range to attack himself.
He could be. He does get to place
What's
3.
His range?
It places him 3 from where he's at standing.
But what's his range?
Of his attacks is 3.
Yeah.
So somebody would have to be really obliging early in the turn, but it's possible.
Yeah, they'd have to move right to the middle, but it's not nothing. It's possible that he could attack.
I'm losing a little bit of interact tempo, but you do have things like first class, so you have running some X-Men, so you can get some back.
Well, I'm just thinking you could bamf with him forward for 1, right? And then leadership trigger back to himself, and then the place 3 gets him even further up the table.
Can you leadership trigger to your...
That's what I'm asking.
I think
no, it's another. It's another.
It has to be to another model?
Yeah.
Okay. So, dang.
So,
okay.
So right now, I was really... I went down to the think tank a long time to think, okay, what are the core models that I'm going to make sure I transport to the midline? I did some base size and range 3 math, and as it turns out, Nightcrawler can use mass transit to take a large base model, and they are sitting on a midpoint. It gets them to the midline contesting without an action from them. So I thought, what are some large base models that would like to be sitting on the midline with 2 actions at the start of turn 1?
Dormammu.
So the 2 I chose, one is because he's such an awesome tempo piece, is Ghost Rider. You can wail on Ghost Rider all you want, but you're doing nothing because the game state doesn't change with Deal with the Devil. In fact, you're just giving me multiple activations later in the game, and he loves being in the middle.
Well, within reason, if you're just feeding them hit points.
Of course, but within reason. Ghost Rider.
The fact that you're already taking Wong is both nice and not nice because you have your 2-point model you're going to substitute later, but also that requires you, both of your own affiliateds already chosen then.
Yes. The other model I considered is Hulk with Venomize. One of the problem with Venomize is that you lose so much tempo turn 1, but what if you're on the midline turn 1 and you get to Venomize? That seems like good enough to be in the fight actually killing things. And then if you have Venomize in your list, your opponent might see, oh, Hulk's on the midline with Venomize. You know what? I'm not even going to bother because he has Hulk with Venomize. I have seen a lot of players just, when they see it, I don't even have to play Venomize. Hulk has invulnerability. It's a weird thing that's happened specifically with Hulk and Venomize. And since this can specifically put him on the midline, contesting the middle point or picking up objectives, Hulk loves starting at the turn 1 on the midline, but what if he did that with 0 actions or power spent? And he's gaining some power over the course of the turn as your other characters are using power. So I feel like Hulk with Venomize. That's the package. What do you guys think?
Okay. And you're just seasoning to taste with other X-Men to get to the
Yes, yeah. There's other X-Men in the list that I felt would work. That would
go
well.
Other hard planes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the idea a 7, and the model selections a 3.
Okay.
I really like the idea, but you should be playing it in Wakanda with Spirit of Wakanda. Because
okay, tell me.
Bring all of Wakanda to the midline and give them a shit ton of power. And then they just get to charge from the midline and basically direct the tempo wherever they want to direct it.
So you're just saying instead of taking the X-Men package, you take the Wakanda package, and you end up with the same models, because you still have Wong, and you've still got
You don't need Wong. Wong was only needed for the turn 1 Spirit. You could play Spirit on turn 3 of the first round to power up all of your charging, pouncing models.
How's that? Who's giving the power? Advanced R&D's gone. You do need Wong.
Yeah.
Fine, you need Wong. Okay.
So I agree with you that I'd rather have fully loaded Wakandans on the midline than fully loaded X-Men on the midline. But I think the fact that you have to take 2 unaffiliateds to get that going is a lot harder.
But Wong and Nightcrawler are both unaffiliated, so those are your 2 unaffiliated.
That's the problem, right? So you don't get a big guy.
Yeah.
You only get the Wakandans. But the Wakandans are pretty good.
Right.
The problem I have with the other side is that you're taking specifically Professor X and Wong and Nightcrawler. And so in any list that's 10 points down, there's not a lot left. And so, because if you do take Hulk, you have to have another X-Men in there still, right?
Yes, right.
And so that's Hulk plus another X-Men is the cheapest one's Honey Badger. That's 18 points that before that list even work.
Yeah, and that feels really toothless. Nightcrawler and Hulk are great, but they have to do
because you're like, look, I got Hulk and Nightcrawler, and then 8 points of nothing, and you're like, oh, well, I can beat that. Yeah. And like, I'm not personally a fan of Venomized. I think it's potentially good in the right situations, but the times it's good, you've already won the game, I think, at the point you say I play Venomized. I do think people have not yet learned when to attack the Venomized target and when to not attack the Venomized target, and that's just an experience level thing with that specific interaction. I think I like the concept.
Also
Aaron said, probably 7 out of 10 on coming up with something cool to do.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what that list looks like. And so I think the models that we are not required are very important. Mm-hmm. And I don't like Hulk is whatever. Immortal Hulk to me would be a little bit scarier, but again, the points don't work.
He was on the list, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really a fan of Ghost Rider. I think if you're just going to play Ghost Rider with a pile of stuff, there's better ways to do it. And you could just play Inhumans and let him drive. Like, he doesn't need Ghost Rider, right?
Right.
Or no, he doesn't need Nightcrawler. The cornerstone of the list is I have good model plus Nightcrawler. I'm like, yeah, you could just do that, though, by giving Nightcrawler 3 power.
Right.
And it doesn't sprint in action. And because you're trying to generate tempo by playing a card that costs 2 actions on one of your 4-pointers. Mm. And so if there was something we could move to the middle that was scarier than a Ghost Rider, I'm with you.
At 5 points, you mean? Like a lower point model?
Right.
Yeah.
How about this? You could actually just play this in Dark Dimension. You could just put Nightcrawler and Wong in Dark Dimension, and it actually still works.
Yeah.
Dormammu also has the power to play it, but you don't even need Wong.
Yeah, you need to give him a 3rd power.
Yeah.
So you do need Wong.
Oh.
Because it's 3 power. Because you're using the leadership and Wong to get to 3.
Got it.
There are lots of ways to get one model up. Like, Lockjaw just does this kind of, right?
What about just playing Inhumans and replacing Lockjaw with Nightcrawler?
Yes, that was actually something I tossed around for a little while. I made that list, and I was looking at it, I go, that would also work.
Because late game, Nightcrawler is a fucking scary dude. Because he's just going to kill whoever their big guy is.
Right.
You have a Hulk with Venomized? Congrats, dumbass.
Yeah, you don't have to wait till late game. If he has just 4 power, he might just kill anything.
Well, but you're staggering yourself and having 0 power going into 2.
That's one of the nice things about Wong is if Wong goes early, you can remove the stagger from Nightcrawler. So
that is true.
You gain
that
back.
Is a strong combo.
That is something that was something I liked about the list is it was doing that automatically.
Can we? I don't think we're pressed to get through these. Can we just talk about the Inhumans list real quick? Does that sound interesting?
Sure. I created an Inhumans version, and I like the Inhumans version. Another reason why is one of the reasons why I went to X-Men, I gravitated towards it, is this is a long con, right? The X-Men kind of looks like something else, and then all of a sudden Nightcrawler's in the midpoint. Sure. With Inhumans, you go, oh, they're going to give him Nightcrawler a bunch of power. He's going to do mass transit, or they're going to use Lockjaw. You're used to Inhumans taking huge tempo plays early. So that's one of the only reasons why is specifically the interaction with a tactical human. You would be you'd be more apt to recognize it.
My question now is, how much does it cost you to actually play Mass Transit in X-Men? Because they're already tactics cards hungry. And now that you're like forcing in characters that they don't really want, because I don't think you really want Wong in X-Men.
They're less tactics card hungry, I think, than they used to be, because they're not automatically playing exceptional healing, right?
Sure.
So,
but you weren't even playing healing factors so far, so I don't.
No,
think that matters.
This list had 2 healing factor models in it, but it wasn't
just in there because Wolverine's just naturally so good when you give him tempo because he's already pretty good.
I considered Wolverine, but I actually went with Psylocke this time because she spends power really well. She's going to be able to fuel other models with Professor X. Wolverine doesn't do as good a model job with that.
Well, OG Wolverine I think spends power every turn.
On his turn, but on the opponent's,
yeah, you're getting it more with Psylocke for sure. But I think once the engine gets going, you're going to have plenty of power. Okay, so Inhumans.
Yeah, so the Inhumans version, I think still could play Venomized. I think Black Bolt is another Venomized target. I do not know if people are doing that right now, but I like him for it. I think any model with Bodyguard gets huge mileage out of Venomized because then your opponent can't just avoid him or wait for the time when they want to attack him with overwhelming force. You can dictate that a little bit. So I also
I think if they're ignoring your Black Bolt, you're fine with that.
Right. So also they have almost no tactics cards, so putting in Venomized is super easy. So Nightcrawler with Venomized, with Black Bolt, I think you could still use. I think Hulk is not terrible in that situation. Another one I actually put in that list was Prime, Sentinel Prime. He's another large base model that would go onto the midpoint, and he is amazing at just filtering power into rerolls. And he's also killing things. So he's like a hyper aggressive version with Professor X, right? So where Professor X is super supporty and doing a little bit of rerolls, Sentinel Prime is just murdering things and rerolls. So I thought the two in the primary version of that list would be Nightcrawler, Sentinel Prime, and then you could have a 6-pointer could be somebody like Hulk, for example, and then Black Bolt, pick two Inhumans.
Yeah, I imagine Medusa would be quite good in that because she's immediately engaging the midline.
Yep, midline feels good. Another one that kind of a sleeper pick, if you had to go down to lower points, which I like a lot more than the X-Men version, is actually just bring Zemo with you. Just because so he's going to bubble everybody. Everybody's getting Weapon X rerolls because they're Inhuman rerolling plus Zemo rerolling. Then you've got Medusa and Zemo and Black Bolt and Nightcrawler all standing there together. Like that's what's going to come into that. I don't know. So
at that point, I'm more worried about your inability to spread out because a lot of those models don't want to be like the sole model on a flank.
Yeah. So this is definitely like a fight down the middle list. You're definitely hoping for that to happen.
And I feel like the Inhumans version has enough teeth that they could actually like threaten tabling somebody because the X-Men version just had too many non-combatants.
You're right. Yeah, I think the Inhumans version. What do you think, Aaron? You said Wakandans. Do you think Inhumans might be even better, or is it going back?
I think Aaron is not adjusted the math in his head for not having advanced R&D yet.
Yeah. Bottom line, I think you want someone who can charge from the middle. That's what I really think you want.
Zemo definitely has that.
Yep.
Is there anybody else we could put in there? I mean, you could just take Namor, and after you get up there with actually I don't know if you'd have enough transfers. That's the problem. Like, who do you activate to trigger the leadership first? You'd have to take somebody that doesn't need their power.
Yes.
And so if you're doing Zemo's giving out a power and then walking forward.
This is actually one of the problems with the list, yes, is the Inhumans one takes 2 turns to give Nightcrawler the power, whereas Professor X just takes 1.
Ooh, Mordo. Mordo's not terrible, because Mordo can generate new power and then hand out power still, and then get in position so on the next turn, you can give him power back and then have him start kicking in extra dice.
Yeah, Mordo would not be terrible. I mean, Wong still works in that scenario because you can give one, like Black Bolt can give Nightcrawler 1. It's not his turn, but it doesn't matter. Anybody can give anybody power. And then you could use Wong to do the same thing. So if you wanted to put Wong in the list, you could. I don't think Wong's the worst thing in Inhumans either. They don't have a 2-pointer. Wong's just fine.
I think Bullseye would be better, or like a Bob. Bob could be really good, like tempo play. Because Bob never needs power, and he's just going to stick around the whole game. And he can just keep handing his power out to other people.
All right, you guys have excited me about this one.
I think the Inhumans has some gas, but really you got to figure out what that like 5th model is. Yeah. Is really the question mark.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go for another gimmicky play and this would probably be an open and shut case. I think we've really talked about this now, so you guys could just tell me pretty quick.
It's terrible.
So, I was looking at Venomized again, trying to think of how can I get Venomized. This is a gimmick, right? It's similar to one of the last time. How can I get Venomized onto the midline, and being scary really early?
Have you considered just fucking playing Venom?
Um,
You seem to want Venom so much.
Yes, he's in a later list.
Okay.
You're jumping. And it's A-Force again. So She-Hulk is I mean the A-Force list doesn't change a whole lot. It's the same great formula. It has a lot of things now that you want out of a list. I can list them off. We don't need to. But the main thing I think it does is special delivery plus Venomized, and She-Hulk, because she protects others, means you can't ignore her. And when she does superior weight training and Venomize hits you, if you have any ability to give you rerolls with somebody like Shuri or Zemo in there, I did some math. Like I just rolled some dice and I was just doing some theory crafting rolls. I was like, man, with short of Nightcrawler with full power, trying to take her down in one turn, I don't know how you remove She-Hulk.
Well, the problem is you just can't heal that much. Like, most people you're hitting don't have that many hit points to heal off of.
But even
if you one-shot somebody, you're only getting 5 hit points.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think if you constantly heal 4 a turn or 5 a turn, I don't know how you kill She-Hulk.
I think the stuff that exists now will dumpster her pretty quick.
Okay.
Like, you can't walk up against, like, Red Skull 3 and Namor and other stuff that's out right now. And, like, even if people just play Shadowlands, which I don't think anybody's going to, like, I think there's enough damage out there that she will die. It's all about the scariness of her special delivery tempo.
Mm-hmm.
But after that goes away, it just, as soon as she activates, she just gets dumped damage into. And if she doesn't activate till late in the turn, then she just isn't going to have a good activation.
My new version
will just move away from her.
My new version of the list takes advantage of the fact that I think you have to kill She-Hulk, and I'm going to make sure you have to kill She-Hulk. And I took a lot of the supporting models out, and I'm trying to deprioritize that, and instead just putting in things that will stand there and kill you, but they're more glass cannony, like OG Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch is back in there, Angela, and just make sure that your models are taking damage while She-Hulk is dying. That's the idea. And Venomize, I think, makes it happen too slowly. I think she lives one more turn, and if she lives 2 more turns, you won.
I think she lives another turn, but I think it costs her a turn just to play Venomized. Because she doesn't generate as much power as Hulk. Like, it's a significant amount of her power.
But A-Force, in my personal experience, playing A-Force a bunch, I think she'll have the power, and she doesn't need the second action on turn 1. I don't think she does. Because of special delivery specifically. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Aaron?
I really want to like it, but I don't think, for everything Brandon said, She-Hulk is a good play in the meta right now. Especially if you're playing on She-Hulk every time.
If you could win the game by just breaking up in the middle, I would love the meta. I don't think you can.
Okay.
I think even the tempo aggressive lists right now will just beat you on scenario in that time period.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next list. This one kind of piggybacks off of earlier conversations. We've already said his name a couple times. This one is S.H.I.E.L.D., specifically focusing on playing around Neymar's Invaders list. I noticed something after I stared at the Invaders card, and I was like, defensive rerolls. One of my old lists that I really like was using characters that had martial artists. I wonder how many martial artists there are in S.H.I.E.L.D. now. And as it turns out, there is 4 models that have martial artists that are affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D. And that plus double defensive rerolls if they're next to Namor, and more if they're next to Zemo, and more if you're using characters like the new Black Widow. It's definitely a defensive ball that has some glaring weaknesses like throws. Same things that S.H.I.E.L.D's usually weakness to, which is they don't have a lot of movement. But is Namor plus Zemo just good enough? If Namor plus Zemo just played with nothing but models that had martial artists, is that better than Namor plus Zemo and something else? I don't know. I don't know if anybody's looking at it.
What? Well, if your core 2 models don't have martial artists, why would I attack your martial artists over them?
Great point.
Maybe
She-Hulk
they
actually
all have
good
extracts on them, right? You spend your entire
I mean,
First returns killing my non-extract holders. I'm probably okay with that.
Yeah, there are things like Black Widow, Spider-Woman, Taskmaster. I put Okoye in the list because she's, again, one of those models that will have martial artists to
Which
bodyguard.
Widow?
What's that?
Widow 3.
The Black Widow and just Black Widow. So both of them are in the list.
So 2-pointer and 4-pointer.
Yes. I also put Okoye for exactly the thing you guys said. If they just target Namor and Zemo, Okoye will take probably too many attacks. If she's next to both of them, she's rerolling 3 with martial artists on physical attacks. That seems pretty bonkers. Like functionally 6, you have to get skulls basically to fail.
Well, they can reroll skulls if they're within 2 of an ally.
Yeah, you're right. There you go. So, like, I feel like Okoye in between Zemo and Namor. I don't know.
The problem is she won't have any power to bodyguard because she's never going to take damage from attacks.
There you go. Thank you. So I don't know if anybody's tried this yet.
This is probably a 10.
You think so?
That's just because this is already a broken list. You don't even have to put martial artists in it.
On a power level, yes.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could do with invaders, whether it's martial artists, which I think is which is very good.
Yeah. Once you've added Zemo and Namor, you just face roll the keyboard and then you build your list.
Well, you can pick your version of face roll, right? His is
you need to play it
martial
well, but you can
shield.
face list.
Yes, this is. I would imagine this list is going to do outstanding.
Yeah, I couldn't believe there wasn't more of them at NashCon.
Yeah, Fury's grunts get 4 rerolls every time you attack them.
Yeah, yeah. Fury's in the
grunts
list.
are never going to die.
I mean, they are because they only have 2 defense dice, 1 defense die.
Doesn't matter. Like they're 2 defense.
Who cares
dice,
how many rerolls they have
every time they fucking roll dice?
They only have 1 block, but yeah.
They're gonna block 1.
But yeah, Aaron's
Fine.
exactly
so
right.
they still get 3 on offense, which is pretty stupid. So.
Getting 3 on offense on grunts is dumb.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Even models like Humble Taskmaster, I think, become an absolute terror in this list.
This is what I'm talking about with like new models being idiot proof. It's like, well, if only there was a way that like you could make maximum use of your rerolls. Well, let's just give them to you 4 at a time, just 1 individually times 4. And then also you can reroll skulls, and also you get charge, and also you start with extra power, and it's like, and also all the models you want are affiliated and long movers, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not making it easy to play other stuff.
Okay.
But if you're excited to play that, go ahead.
I am excited to play it.
Excited to win.
What's bizarre is I don't see anybody else playing it, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a meta out there. They're all screaming at this cast.
No, I
like,
think it's
we only see this, but
people are actively avoiding playing the obvious thing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it's not everywhere.
I don't know. I think there is a smudge over Shield. I feel like everybody just writes them off really fast because they had such a hard time in the previous meta when it was nothing but Web Warriors. And they were a death sentence when you saw 8 Web Warriors in the top cut. I
actually think they weren't popular just because Shield is not popular by aesthetics.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's go on to the next one. Here's an old one. Do we think it works? This is a revivification of Black Order. Is Black Order just too tall? It's actually a combination of things we've already talked about in this cast. Half the list is a standard kind of Corvus Glaive, all in with Black Swan with Power Gem, Black Order. The only non-Black Order, the only member of Black Order that's not in here is Supergiant. And then it does have a switch option. If I want to go unaffiliated, I do have Thanos the Mad Titan affiliated with Aaron's patented. I'm just going to put 3 rerolling models with Thanos the Mad Titan. I have the Soul Gem, Space Gem combo that he preferred, and because I wanted to do that to somebody. A couple things that make it a little bit different in the modern that makes me wonder if it works much better is it's a little static. You have a couple like bursty tactics cards, momentum, abilities to gain mobility, but then you lose it all. So lists that run away consistently are great, but they're a little bit down in the meta right now. So anybody who's going to stand up and fight, I think they love to see that. They have a bunch of models that like Venomized. I know I keep saying Venomized, but I was staring at that card a lot. A lot of models like Venomized. Ebony Maw with Venomized, does that not work? That feels kind of amazing, right? Because you don't use his energy defense, which drops down. You give him the ability to heal. His Spender's a little expensive, but you give him a little bit cheaper one. He doesn't get a lot of power, but if you're giving him power by attacking him, he can then just heal it back. he has a turret, and maybe you just lose way too much momentum. But he can teleport himself once.
I think every action he's not spending to attack is a fail.
Yeah.
And he's also like, he doesn't have that great of defense. Like, you just spend the 2 to attack him, and he just dies.
That's not an automatic include, but I thought about it. I was like, that does work. There's lots of like synergies there, but maybe it's just the action thing is just too much. There are other models that like Venomize, though. Thanos, of course, likes it. Black
Thanos,
Dwarf,
I think, is one of the best places for it, just because he's so hard to kill anyway. Like, it's when you decide to try and kill Thanos, it's a question mark, not a stepping stone, right? Like, it's not like, oh, well, once he's dead, I'll do that. No, if I have to actually kill him, and that's why it's so good on him. Hulk's kind of the same way. It's like, if you just get not great rolls for a whole round, what should be a dead Hulk turns into a 3/4 dead Hulk, which is a problem.
What about? Am I crazy? Does Cosmic Ghost Rider like that card?
Any model with 9-ish hit points and power to spare can like that card a lot.
And also, he's gaining. He has the ability to move himself or move you, so you're getting some tempo there. And he gets the skulls even on the Venomized attack. Like, that seems good.
The skulls on Venomized is cute, but his, like, exactly, if he wants to kill you, he's got a better spender.
But the spender's so expensive now. The cheaper spender might be better.
Right, but right now, in the world we live in, CGR is not good unless you help him, and so you're asking more of his resources to play Venomized.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's actively bad, but again, unless you're already playing patch up and saying this isn't enough healing, I think that's where you should start.
Okay. So, how would you rate Black Order with a Thanos unaffiliated kicker? Because you can really easy fit both.
3 out of 10.
Okay. That bad?
I'll agree. I don't like it in concept, but I don't have play into it or with it to really, really have an impact.
Sell me on why Black Order is good over everything else in the meta. I think they're just a dated faction that has not had a good release in a long time.
Okay. Cosmic Ghost Rider's not good enough because he got nerfed too hard.
Oh no, he's definitely not good. I think CGR in a vacuum is a 5 out of 10 probably at best.
Okay.
Now, giving him the proper tools, I think you can get him back up to a 7, maybe an 8. Like, Inhumans has a lot of those tools, either by placing him early, giving him extra power, ensuring the token, or taking the token off of him. They have a lot of tools to really make that work, and it synergizes well to get a second long-range blaster. So, like, that's a cool, like, combo piece you can put in there. But I don't know that Black Order does any of those things for him. Like, it actively doesn't, and they have one of the worst leaderships in the game.
Okay.
Two of the worst leaderships.
Yes, I'm saying as an aggregate, yeah, like neither of them are good. If you want to ask me, the selling point right now in Black Order is Black Swan. If you're exporting something that people want, it's Black Swan, and I don't see anyone playing her. So
she's high on my list for why I was playing it.
If you want to put Black Swan in something, maybe look at a Red Skull free list with Black Swan. I can listen to that, but. Other than that, I'm not sure what you're doing in Black Order. I think they're just actively bad. Back when it was like the follow me priority meta, I think they were good, but I don't think they do anything right now.
Okay. I am willing to be proven wrong at some point. I might prove myself wrong and just pull it out just to be sure this is bad. But I agree with you on a lot of points there, but I just haven't seen them and they just seem so scary still. Let's go.
I'm of the mindset right now that old stuff is basically unplayable unless you have a strong reason to change my mind.
Okay, here we go. Speaking of old stuff that might be unplayable. There was a time, way back when, I believe COVID-19 didn't exist back then, that we wondered, what if you put a bunch of Beam characters together with Red Skull 1? Is there a way to make that viable? And at the time, it was a pipe dream. It didn't really work. There was no way to cash in all that power to turn it into enough good.
Oh, sure.
And so I have gone back to it again. I've looked at Beam Team again. I think it might work now. Let me explain.
You better explain.
Specifically, there's a couple characters that can cash in that +1 power now that didn't exist before. And maybe that's just bad. Maybe it doesn't work in the meta. But I think the +1 power works so much better now. I also think his ability to slough off damage to somebody else also has an amazing target now. There's a bunch of things that that came to him that no one ever. I don't know if anyone's come back and looked. So it's Red Skull 1, a standard kind of Cabal package. It's all Cabal. The only non-Cabal members in the list are exactly Crimson Dynamo and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler, for the obvious reason, he catches in power on his spender, and as long as he's doing damage, he gets it back. He has an infinite damage possibility, and he's keeping up with his power as he's doing that.
His maximum damage is 20.
You're right.
It's more
And
due to
then
hit point maximum.
you're not wrong. Crimson Dynamo is the best character of the game at cashing in his power for doing his beam, and what if his beam just gave him more power? There are a couple other new characters in there that I think cash in power really well. One of them is a non-beam character, that's Hood. Another one is New Crossbones Merciless Merc. And finally, I think Bob is a really good 2-pointer that didn't exist back when Beam Team was originally imagined. I think he likes Red Skull 1 a lot, not a little bit a lot. There's some other characters in the list, but those are some of the newer models that I went back and went, is Beam Team good now? Is that good enough? What do you think?
I don't know what the list is really doing other than throwing a lot of 5-die attacks at people.
It's before it was throwing a lot of 5-die attacks and then you gained a lot of power and then you lost, right? Now you're getting 5-die attacks and you are affecting their dice, and you're doing 5-die attacks and you're healing your models and you're buffing your defense and your is the idea. You're able to cash in for big attacks rather than kind of the small fry you got before. I
think Pyro could be interesting in that concept. There's every time he sprays, he gets more power to do it again. I thought you said the only unaffiliated people were.
You're right. I always think he's Cabal because he's a bad guy.
He's not. Definitely not Cabal.
He's not Cabal. He is not. He's just Brotherhood. He's in the list.
Is it Human Torch? Is the other one?
Human Torch. He was on the list. I definitely considered him on the short list to try.
He has a non-action steal objectives too, so he could actually do stuff with said power.
This is by far my most mid idea, dice, but I wondered if you guys just totally disagreed. Like, nope, doesn't work. Never mind.
I don't think it works, but I don't know. Like, if you create a big enough of a scrum, it could. The problem is if you run up against anything that's specifically good against them, like Thanos, I don't know how you get out of that game. I think you'd be better off doing Red Skull 3, because I don't think, we talked about, you don't need the power at all. I think just making those same attacks but having a high chance at volatility, where it's some of these might spike really big, I think that could be interesting. But just doing a bunch of 5-die attacks to gain a lot of power, if you put hey, look, I threw in Iron Man so I can just kill somebody with Helios, I guess there's something there. Or even new Iron Man, because doesn't he have rerolls? So you get Helios and you get a reroll bot.
There you go.
That could be interesting.
That's spicy. Didn't think of that, but that's an idea. That's one of the things I was staring at, is that there used to be ways to spend 8 power on tactics cards, and I was actually looking. I was like, I can't really find it, but that's one. Helios is one.
Aaron, what do you think?
I think it's viable.
Ooh.
You just need to add Namor to the list and you're golden.
I was going to say.
Come on. You already have Zemo. You're halfway there, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Ben wrote
how this
strategy.
Beam Team is quickly becoming Namor and Zemo and Red Skull 3, none of which have beams.
No. You don't need Red Skull 3.
I know. But, I mean, his list is only going to have 2 people with beams in it. How is it Beam Team? Anyway, move on. Go ahead.
I was going to say Ben rode this to to second place at NashCon, which was Zemo, Namor, and Dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that says, and really it's as simple as we're just going to beam twice with Dynamo every turn and profit.
Mm-hmm.
What if you ran that package, but you had 2 beam models in addition to Red Skull, Zemo, and Namor? Whether those are Vision, Dynamo, Crossbones 2, which is super spicy.
I mean, if you're doing Cabal, I believe you get Enchantress, which she has a steal, and Bow, which will line up even more beams, and she's got a beam 3 as well.
I'm not saying you have to use Namor, but I would at least include him in the 10 and figure out where it makes sense to actually play him.
Well, you forget it's actually a legal requirement that you put Namor in every single roster, so he's already there.
Okay, got it.
I don't believe that's true. However, it's not nothing here. I don't disagree.
Yeah, like what you need is the ability to make your beams more scary, not more powering.
Right. And Namor would do that.
And even Zemo's fine by himself, right? Like the second
Mhm.
reroll is obviously better, but you can do just fine with one.
Also in Cabal, you can get a second with Red Skull 1, you can get a second activation out of anybody, which is not nothing.
That's Amaze Balls. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one thing that I looked at him again. I was like, man, this seems just really good out of a bunch of things that can beam. I just feel like it's way too many attacks, way too much. And like you said, if you get a conflagration, if you get a big scrum, I don't know what you do.
Honestly, I mean, Human Torch is kind of where you're at, right? Did you look
Yeah.
at original Human Torch?
No, yeah, I did. I
Because he
stared
can
at
dump 7 extra power to add extra dice,
it. Mm-hmm.
and then it's also a beam.
I actually also looked at Gambit even, but I think Gambit's a little bit less the top. I mean, he doesn't go quite as hard as
Yeah, he has
the Human Torch
a
does.
cool like maximum efficiency, but
Yeah.
it's hard to get him there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Human Torch actually has he has serious legs, because one of the things he can do is that might happen early, because one of the things but the typical play pattern with him is you get him KO'd, he wakes up with your priority, and you do it once, and then he dies. But you might actually get him to that point much earlier. It might happen really quickly, actually, when you're gaining a lot of power off all those beams, especially if you have Crimson Dynamo standing there, making sure he's harder to kill.
He can spend 22 power in a single activation.
He'd be hard for him to gain it all, but he'd gain a lot, right? He'd gain a bunch.
So you start with 10, you spend 3, make them drop 1, pick it up, then you charge, and then you do 2 spenders.
Okay. Oh, that's actually one of the things I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention. I'm not going back. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the next one. This is, I think, bad, but you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Is Hulkbuster currently bad? It is a Hulkbuster Avengers list. It also runs Sam as a back pocket. It runs a lot of strong DR models, or models that can mess with throw damage. Basically, the idea is you don't play Brace for Impact. You play some other cards, and you don't look back. You're totally fine, enjoying the fact that everybody's throw damage is so heavily mitigated, you're really not scared of it. My favorite interaction in the list is Hulkbuster with Supergiant. I think it's adorable. Have you ever stared at that, Brandon?
Why? What do you
It says, if this character would suffer 2 or more damage from an attack or collision, it suffers 1 instead.
Oh, and then you reduce it to 0.
It reduces it to 0, so she's immune to collision damage completely.
That's cute. I didn't realize that.
What's funny is it's because if this character suffers damage from a physical attack or collision, it drops objective tokens. So you can't automatically damage her with collisions. The only thing you could do is physically attack her. So if she's holding an objective token and your opponent has energy weapons, they have to just kill her, which is harder. One thing,
yeah, I think it's actually easier.
yeah, maybe just easier.
It's way easier to just kill her with energy.
Yeah, just kill her. But I love also something about Supergiant. You and I know, because we both put her on the board a bunch. Is she just gains a ton of power for free? And
okay, so but you're not really going to play Hulkbuster and Supergiant, right?
Oh, that's the idea.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
It's so bad. Okay.
Yes, this is a 1 out of 10.
There?
Okay, got it.
I mean, the only argument is that
Competitively, right?
she's going to fuel the Helios. If you're like, she's going to fuel Helios, I'm like, all right, I'll let her fuel Helios.
That's what it was.
Also,
she's Helios fuel.
If she got that much power, she could abduct people, which would be cute. But that's like, and then, other than that, though, she's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you have no ability to kill anyone.
No.
Okay, so
God damn it.
Supergiant's actually not bad in the right circumstances.
Yeah.
No, I love Supergiant. I think she's a great model in the game. But I think putting her with Hulkbuster is cute, not good.
Yeah.
But
I said cute,
so it's all about, can you win the game without killing your opponent? Mm-hmm. And so now you have to win on scenario. Because you're locking out the ability for you to table your opponent if you're playing 9 points of 12 dice of attacks a turn.
She's 5 dice, right? She's a normal 3.
Yeah, she's a 5 dicer.
Isn't she like range 2 or something?
No. Range 3 Mystic, I believe.
Range 3?
Sure. I mean, she's not worthless, but she's fairly meager on offense.
It's a standard 3 threat, right?
No, because she doesn't have a
better
spender
than
that does
standard.
damage. No, she doesn't deal damage with her spender. That's different.
Sure, but I don't care about that. Just range 3
kind of
Mystic,
matters when
5
somebody
dice is not bad.
dazes you and you cannot daze them back. That matters.
Well, I think it matters specifically if you know you're playing an Iron Man, right? Because then you can spender through him, right? So you're going to use that power for something. It's going to turn into dice.
You can spender through him. What do you mean?
You're going to turn the power on Supergiant into damage through Hulkbuster, right? So
You mean on Helios?
Helios, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe if she's alive when you play Helios. No, like that's a real thing. Like they just daze her early, and now you can't Helios.
I have never seen anyone daze Supergiant early. I've never seen it be like, I gotta kill Supergiant.
How many times have you seen her played though?
There was
played her at least 10 games. So
I did not play her 10 games. I've played her probably 6 because I played her at a tournament, and I played her a bunch of practice games before the tournament. I think it's probably 6. And
I jammed her a bunch in Convocation and also in AIM.
I think she's not a target of priority for most people, and she also heals herself, and she takes damage slowly.
If she gets the objective or not, right?
Right. But she doesn't.
Okay.
But specifically, when she gets the objective, if she takes a physical attack, she drops it, right? So people don't often down her, right? She usually sits there because they're specifically trying to use the gimmick to get it off her.
Okay, so you've got your little base package. What's the rest of your list? How are you winning the game?
We can stop.
Yeah, we can stop.
Why would you ask him about that?
No, I want to know how he's planning on winning the game. I need to know. Because I think he's building lists wrong if he never planned a win con.
So the win con in this one was typically you're playing a bunch of pushers. So it's Hulkbuster, Sam, and Shuri.
She went on the secures.
Yeah, so you're making Shuri.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of pushers.
Supergiant, Shuri, and Hulkbuster. That's my damage. Right.
No, you're. This list does not do a lot of damage.
I'm noticing that.
Yeah. This list,
don't worry, that's coming through just clear as a bell.
It's got a lot of characters that are making sure secures are secured, and it's got a lot of characters that mitigate damage, like Luke.
Okay.
It's keeping. It's basically it's a scenario list. It's a scenario list.
You need stealing.
What's that?
What do you do when they steal your extracts and you can't get them back?
Oh, they're not stealing anymore. That don't you know? It's only Namor. Namor is the only model in the game right now. So
how do you stop it when Namor takes all your objectives?
No, you can't do that. So it doesn't matter.
Why can't you do that?
Because you can't stop Namor from stealing, right? There's not a card that stops you.
No, yeah, but so he stole them. Now what? You lose?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you,
I love this list.
Yeah,
Parker, you should play this list.
I don't think this. I built it because I didn't want to take damage from throws, and I wanted to know. If
I'm noticing that. Don't worry, that's not going to be an issue.
Okay, deal. Let's move on.
I just find it incredible that the same mind that came up with, what if I play Namor and Zemo and Shield? That seems good. Is the same mind that was like, what if I play Hulkbuster and Supergiant together?
Yeah.
These two lists seem like they're the same power level.
I would like to point out, you're
I
still
did not say that.
With the models you've named, you're still not affiliated.
I did not say that.
Parker, I reserve my right as a podcaster to put words in your mouth.
Okay, deal.
All right, Parker, please explain to me who is affiliated with your team.
Okay, you want to keep talking about this one? Here we go.
No,
just tell me the affiliated models. Just list them quickly and we'll move on.
It's Ant-Man, Captain America, Original Black Widow, War Machine, because it's awesome. Luke Cage, those are the affiliated models.
All right, we're done. There's no saving that list.
Yeah. I didn't want to workshop it. You told me it's bad. I'm moving on.
It's so bad.
Okay.
I would replace 7 of those 10 models.
I understand.
Okay, Parker, your challenge is to bring that on the 7th and go 3-1 or better.
Okay.
That, sir, is a gauntlet I just threw at you.
Okay. Bring that on the 7th. Okay.
I want you to prove us so wrong.
Yeah. Just play 4-pointers. What could go wrong? I love that his answer to my list sucks at holding extracts is play Ant-Man. Yeah. that's the fucking best.
Yeah.
That shit is gold.
Yeah. I am so secure.
I hope you play Scoundrels every game so you can make it to turn 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next list, I think, is... I don't know if this is what everybody's doing in Sinister Six. It's a Sinister Six list.
I just realized we didn't rate that one. Aaron, what's your rating on that
one?
No.
You said
1 out
1.
of 10. 1.
Yeah, it's a 1.
Okay.
Like, if you're trying to make a competitive list, I don't know if you can do worse than that.
I'll give you a 2 just for Supergiant immune to collisions. But then we're going to move on.
Okay. I like that. Okay, the next one is Sinister Six. This one was actually built with the previous meta in mind. So the idea was bleed low health, high mobility characters with a lot of incidental damage, a lot of trap damage, make it very difficult to move anywhere on the board without taking damage. I think it's much worse now, and maybe you guys could just tell me it is. It's Green Goblin. The primary set are the models that make you take damage for moving. So it's Green Goblin, Electro, Craven, Mysterio, and Rocket are the main models. And then it's got your usual suite. Venom is in there. He's will probably be played a bunch. Rhino is in there. Probably played a bunch. So is Lizard. But mostly, I'm hoping to play models, or rather, it has this really cool package where it says if you're a character that has 5 health or less, you probably will die to incidental damage or put too low so that my models can finish you off with their okay attacks. They're not like fantastically offensive attacks. I don't know if it works into another aggressive Namor list. I think does aggressive Namor just kill it, or does Namor have low enough health where he struggles? I don't know.
It's 7 out of 10 for me. Maybe a 6, 6.5. I think it has legs. I think it'll be fun. I don't think it's going to win a competitive tournament. I think it will probably go about 3-2 on average. I think foes are good, but not great. And yes, you can play Trap House like that, and it's totally fine.
It's Goblin Leader, right?
Yes, I'm not taking any Ock. Yeah.
I like it. We just talked earlier about how I want to play it, so I think putting Loki in is good, and obviously that's something that you could workshop.
Yeah, I don't.
Might choose not to.
Yeah, I don't own Loki, and right now I have Heimdall is the only other non-affiliated besides Rocket. I'd like to try Heimdall, just give it a little bit more mobility to some of its low mobility characters, and he does have the ability to utilize some of that trappish kind of stuff. I see you bought it.
Loki.
I know you did.
It's still in the box.
Okay, I think we're down to the last one.
Whoa. Wait, we have to rate it.
Okay, 7. Go ahead. You just said 7, and Aaron said 6.5. So this last one is, this might be like the 7th generation of this list. I've played it a bunch, and after staring at the meta a whole bunch, I really spent a lot of time on this one. Boy,
so this is like your magnum opus of lists.
I think I spent more time building on this one than I did any others. I think, just because of how much time I've already spent playing it. A lot of the others, with the exception of A-Force, are ones that I was just really wondering if this would work. This one, also it's completely absent from the meta, like 0.
Can I guess what it is?
Go ahead.
Counterattacks? No,
actually, because those are I think that's in the meta. Okay. So this is a dark horse on purpose. It's Hydra. But
my Hydra and your Hydra are very different.
I actually tried to kind of give myself options. So I do have some pieces of the Hydra that you like. I do have Baron Strucker and Venom there. That's a package that can be played. There's enough space definitely to do that because they're tactics cards. They really need some, and I felt like I had an extra character space. I was already playing Strucker as an option. So the idea behind this list is that all the cards that you can play on characters are really, really good. Specifically, Soldat Activated and Deal with the Devil, and I think Venomized maybe, but primarily Sleeper Agent. Sleeper Agent, I think, got huge stock in the new meta because I think everybody's playing reactive tactics cards. I think it makes like most characters like 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 is at least reactive tactics cards. I think Sleeper Agent Hulk got much better, and I don't know if anybody noticed.
The question is, can you keep Sleeper Agent long enough?
I think so. And the reason why is Soldat Activated Winter Soldier plus Red Skull Master of Hydra is such a terrifying package. It's so strong. Specifically, you put Zemo as your 3rd Hydra character there. With the 3 of those characters next to each other, it just feels so broken. It feels like you're cheating. That is the primary Hydra package: is Red Skull, Baron, Winter Soldier, and then you're putting in your other characters, to taste. I have stared a lot at other parts of the package. Like if I'm playing Baron Strucker, I've always loved regular Ghost Rider with Strucker. I think a lot of the characters that Strucker likes and Red Skull likes, like Zemo and Bob, go in both. I think it's just fine.
I think their lists are too different to play both. Like seriously, I think one of them has a major backseat. If you try and do both, I think you're cutting too much.
I actually don't know what Red Skull Master of Hydra wants more than these models. Like
Right. So you're choosing Master of Hydra, and
most
I'm
of the time
Strucker when we play.
Yeah.
I can tell that just from the stuff you've taken. So
yeah.
Are you playing Venomized?
Venomized is in the list. Yeah.
Okay. I figured it was. I actually think Sleeper Agent Hulk is one of the best places to play Venomized, because there might just be a turn where you one-shot somebody and you have power and actions to spend that you don't want to attack a new character with.
Right.
And it makes, because Sleeper Agent Hulk's already like the long game Hulk,
mm-hmm.
and so I think that works. But the problem is, like you've already said, you're already playing like 3 tactics cards or character-specific upgrades, and so
I think it's actually good enough though. Like I was staring at it for a long time.
Are you not playing Scientific Method?
No, it's taken out of
the
it's it's.
Man. I thought your Nebula Scientific Method was cute.
Nebula was awesome with Scientific Method, but you have to play Arnim Zola, and he just feels
Zola is bad.
It's going backwards. I feel like you're taking this backwards.
Well, I think the Nebula is enough to put it back to neutral, if not up. The problem is it means you're playing a wide list.
So. Also, you lost one of the big things you needed, which is the early game. Like you have to do it on turn 2 now, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. It feels awful. You can no longer do it on turn 1 unless you want to play Wong, which just feels like why are you spending 5 points to make Nebula slightly better?
Have you thought about doing the Zemo versatile strategy thing?
I have not considered it, and the reason why is I think with the tactics card shakeup, I think Zemo lost so much of his tempo play. So many of his cards that you love to take advantage of. Well, Zemo 1 loved. No, you're making me think about the names of cards.
It's Zemo 2.
Sorry, Zemo 2, yeah. Zemo 2 liked advanced R&D because it allows you to do it without actually spending as much power on your character who's sacrificing.
Sure, but that's a bonus thing. You didn't actually need that, right?
If you wanted to interact with an objective with that character, right? So it allowed you to keep a huge amount of tempo there.
I'm saying that you didn't need advanced R&D. He made advanced R&D better, but did advanced R&D make him better?
Yes, because I think Zemo 1... Sorry, Zemo 2 is a tempo play, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, and everybody's like, oh, no, man, you would love to see it.
His leadership is objectively tempo-based,
right.
So that's true.
So with that, you wanted to be able to play a bunch of awesome cards that cost a couple power on turn 1 without losing tempo, and Advanced R&D is a huge, amazing candidate for that, because then you're able to interact and do your power to shenanigans. So was Mission Objective... Not Mission Objective. What's the one that lets you... Eyes on the Prize. Eyes on the Prize. You could play Eyes on the Prize on characters that had no business playing it.
Sure, but that's true of everyone losing that.
Right.
Like, what did he do that you needed those cards for?
That's why I think you play Zemo. Zemo's, I think it's Zemo's objectively worse.
It was just to play Advanced R&D and Eyes?
If you wanted that. That's why I took that package out before the tactics card switch even happened. Because...
Aaron, I know you played this also. Was there nothing else cool that he got to do? Was it just those 2 cards?
Not really. So I think his cool thing was the ability to, quote-unquote, generate a bunch of extra power on turn 1. Because if you're doing it on turn, 2, 3, 4,
it's too late. Yeah.
What, he effectively generates 6 power over the course of the game for his team? It's a fucking horrible leadership.
Yeah, agreed.
But when you can do it turn 1 before people have activated, or while they're activating, it's not like afterwards like Hellfire Club, I think that was a legitimately interesting, good... interesting and fun way to play the game. Now, as for the reasons Parker's mentioned, it's gone. I hadn't really thought about it, but I think Zemo 2 is probably the biggest loser of the tactics card cull.
They really knocked him down a bunch of pegs. His things he did that were cool are gone.
Yeah. Other than playing him in a Zemor shell to enable a stagger gun, I'm not sure why you play Zemo 2 anymore. And that's not even in his leadership.
Mm-hmm.
As a model, I think he's a average-ish 4-pointer, but his health is so tiny it feels terrible. But in terms of offense, he does a lot of cool things, but it's not great. Nothing stands out about him. So yeah, do you guys think Red Skull Master of Hydra with Winter Soldier Soldat activated plus Zemo, that little package, and then usually a Sleeper Agent Hulk. That's 17 points. And then you could do all kinds of other things. Is that going to surprise people? I think it will.
I don't know about surprise. Is it going to be good? Yes. Are they going to be super prepared for it? Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm also really intrigued with how you can get good with this list and then incorporate a potential Strucker APOC splash or a pivot, if you will, when APOC comes out in a couple weeks. So for that reason, I'm doubly interested in the.
Tell me about this. What are you excited to see with Strucker and APOC?
Because he just makes APOC heal like a son of a bitch.
I'd have to go back and look over APOC's cards, but he
It's
heals when he does.
He heals.
He puts a condition on someone that they already have, and he puts on a bunch of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it says when an enemy character within 5 would gain a special condition, it already has instead gains one of the following, and there's 4 different conditions you can give out.
Oh,
and
shit!
So now you can double stack effects and still get the benefit, but it's also a reaction, so you can heal on every allied turn with Apocalypse, and he also heals one every time he's damaged.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can end up healing 3 or 4 around every round with Strucker.
There is a 10th slot in this list right now that I do not know what to do with, and I've stared at it for a while.
Was Strucker in the
There
list
you
to
go.
begin with?
Yes.
Yeah, he's in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah. So like I said, I would play the list as you built it, and then test out APOC in it after he comes out or beforehand, however you want. And again, I don't know that APOC under Strucker is good, but I absolutely know it's worth testing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So far, I think it has everything I want to do. One of the things I really like about the list is it's very lean, right? Like everything is scary, nothing is ignorable, everything works. It doesn't really. I don't have to spend points on a character that I don't want, right? I don't have to.
Yeah, you're not shoving in stuff to make other things work like one.
Right.
Yeah.
And man, Red Skull Zemo Winter Soldier as just sits there, and I don't. It's just so dumb. It feels so dumb. It feels so cheaty.
I mean, I don't know why
you
you wouldn't play the best point-for-point model in the game, but that's okay.
I don't have it put together right now. He wasn't the. That's one reason.
That's Wong, just in case you're wondering.
I thought you were talking about Zemo.
I thought you were talking about Namor.
We're going to see the 100 Wongs versus 100 CGRs one day. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the one I'm most excited about because I feel like this is the one of all of them. I feel like it's a really interesting read, really interesting meta read.
Yeah, I think.
But I'll see.
I think for like list comp, I'd probably give this a 7 because I think it all works together very well. For like competitiveness, I'd probably give it a 5. I think, like Aaron said, you'll definitely catch some people that don't know how to play into it very well because they haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it really competes with the best lists at the highest level. Assuming everyone knows what's going on, you're both playing, competitive missions. I think it's just a little slow because you want to play like kind of a control game, and the missions you're going to land on are either going to be, in my opinion, basically a researcher or, spider infected. And I don't think your list is the best at either. But if you get like a nice middle ground, like control-y mission, I think you could do really well.
So I'll give it a little higher because I'm intrigued how well it would perform into a Tall Asgard list. Being able to tell Thor, no, you can't, Odin's Blessing.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't, pity.
Well, that's the problem is like, how do you get Thor dead with a Hulk, Sleeper Agent Hulk activation?
You obviously have to,
you have to soften him up first, right? But how am I softening you up without just taking a bunch of damage back anyway? Like, I can throw the grunts into him, sure. But, like, he's going to take, like, 1 or 2 damage from the grunts. So then I'm going to put, I don't know, Bucky attacks into him, so I'm out of range, maybe, so he can't respond. Because you still take the Loki damage, right?
Yeah.
And Thor does damage back if you're within 3?
Yeah.
So you're taking Loki damage on Bucky, but you're not taking the Thor damage. And so if you can get him down to, like, 4... and then he can't brace, Odin's Blessing, you could probably get him dead. But that's like your whole team trying to kill one of his models.
It doesn't matter. If you can kill Thor 2 on turn 3, you've won the game.
Oh, sure. I think if you get him back-to-back like that, for sure.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I really like about the combination of Red Skull with Winter Soldier sold at is I don't know what it is about Winter Soldier still. I think it's just PTSD people have had, but they feel like they must and only kill Winter Soldier. I don't know if that's the correct idea, but that's what everybody only does. And going over the top of Red Skull and Baron Zemo to kill Winter Soldier, it just never works out. It's so difficult to get to Winter Soldier through them, but people feel like they have to. And so Red Skull
if you're
and
just
Zemo just
describing
kill
that
him.
people are playing against you incorrectly, I don't know that that's.
Honestly, I haven't seen anybody try the opposite, which is just try to kill Red Skull. I don't know how easy it is to actually kill him. Because behind him I'm doing Winter Soldier attacks at you every time you attack him, and he has cover, and I have patch up. Like, I don't know if that's the right thing to do either. Like, I really don't know. No one's tried yet.
Yeah, it really just depends. Because they activate independently, there's a lot of weird stuff that can happen.
Right.
Like, you could just move out of line of sight of Bucky and then kill Red Skull, or,
Yeah,
there's a lot of weird stuff that can happen in the middle of the game. I know I've played against it several times. I don't think I've ever had too much of a problem with it. I will say it's annoying.
Yeah.
It gets decent value for a tactics card over the course of a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one might be the one I'm most excited about, but you've also challenged me to play the Hulkbuster list.
You have to play it. Until you win 10 games with it, you can't play anything else.
No, they can't just be in your head either. They have to be real life games.
Meanwhile, in the year 2075.
So I didn't tell you why I got the list. I just started describing it for the sake of time. But I hate taking 1 damage from throws. I hate I hate it. And so I'm not going to lie when I say the Hulkbuster list just calls to me, because I want my opponent to go, I have all these cool throw options, and for me to go ahead, like, fine. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think Hulkbuster is one of the best design models they've ever had. It's such an elegant interaction of rules on his whole card.
Yeah.
I wish the game was more Hulkbusters and less Namors and less, Crossbones.
Crossbones 2 is awesome.
I didn't say Crossbones 2, did I?
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
I just want to clarify Crossbones 2 is not good. And you just like to say he is. I don't see you playing a lot of Crossbones 2 either. It's almost like through your actions you're admitting that Namor is amazing and that Crossbones 2 is not good.
Pretty sure that Crossbones 2 was in my Namor list.
Sure it was.
Do you think there's enough? I mean, I know that throws are really what, Asgard's all about, right? So there's at least one list out there that you're going to get mileage out of that's prevalent in the meta.
I don't think so
New
anymore.
Asgard doesn't throw nearly as much as old Asgard.
No,
it doesn't? Okay.
Almost not. Because new Thor does a throw on his attack, but he really just pounces. It's like he is causing collisions, but he's not throwing you or terrain necessarily. So it's nice, but it's really a charge is what it is.
Well, Thor can have 2 throws. Mighty Thor has to throw on her builder. So it's really just Loki that doesn't have throws, right?
Sure.
And all the other Asgardians have throws except for Heimdall. And Heimdall still throws on his spinner, right? So I think there's still a lot of throws in that faction. I think collision damage.
They do have throws, but they're not reliant on the throws are more for convenience and board positioning than it is for damage.
I disagree. I think that less.
Sure. I mean, it's certainly great that they have them but that's the only way to make models that are that premium get their value is to give them throws. But it's not like Magneto where it's if he's not throwing, he's terrible.
Oh, I think Magneto can be good without throwing. He's great when he's throwing too, but he does reroll 6 die attacks.
His kit has not aged well at all.
Sure, but I'm talking about kits. I'm not talking about in kits.
Even him taking an activation where he's getting double point blank attacks is not worth 6 points. Not in the current meta. Not even close.
Oh, I just thought of a really interesting thing. Well, look, I might have to do it. What if in this Hulkbuster list I put a bunch of the characters you can't reroll into? What do you do now, meta? You can't reroll with your Namor. You can't throw with your Asgardians. What are you gonna do? You can do it.
Laugh at you when they just throw at you anyway because you don't realize you're not affiliated.
Nah.
All those Avengers that don't allow rerolls and have martial artists and also have damage reduction.
No, they're a bunch of gimmicky characters that I had never played before, and I got back from my painter, like War Machine is an example, and Supergiant. I was like,
yeah, you got to take War Machine and Luke out. That's a long dead meta where those two make that list good.
Yeah, I think Luke is good enough. You don't think Luke is good enough?
I don't think he's good enough. Not with Hulkbuster.
Okay.
you need damage. Like Hulkbuster is a great model, but he's not great because he deals damage. He's
Right.
great for the other reasons. He's a controlling tank, which is why he's great.
That's
you-
what the list was. A bunch of
Yeah.
controlling models.
And it's like Luke's a good model, but when you look at me, you're like, I'm losing by 3 points. What is Luke doing for me? Because they're not even attacking me. They're just looking at me and I'm losing. Like, they don't need to kill you.
Okay. I have things to think about.
I think you could make an argument to not cut him out of the 10, but he should not be in every squad.
No, that was
Very
not, yeah.
rarely would I say he even makes the table.
Right.
He's probably only making the table instead of like Supergiant. It's like, oh, I'm dropping Supergiant, so I need another sacrificial model.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure if I play the list, it has to have Supergiant, and I'm pretty sure I'm windmill slamming her every game.
That's fine. I will be happy to play against you as many times as
Because
you want.
I want to do it. It has
I know
nothing
you
to do
do.
with whether or not it's good.
I feel you'll want to do it less after about 2 games.
I'm not gonna lie, I hated her after I played her 6 times, but it's because she's so bad in Black Order. Like, she didn't do anything for Black Order. That
She
made me
is
sad.
terrible in Black Order.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people do is they play her in Black Order. They go, "Why is she here?" And they're like, "I don't know."
Yeah,
even like Supergiant's like, "Why am I here?"
it's a great big shrug. I don't know.
Yeah, just hanging out.
All right, Aaron thinks that I should play Invaders if I want to win. I should play Hydra because he thinks it would be interesting to keep
News
going with
11,
it.
play Namor.
And I have to play Hulkbuster if I'm a man because I've been challenged.
Well, excellent recap.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you guys had a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to Parker Plays Supergiant.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
And we're back.
Oh man, we're back
We did it.
at an all new time. I'm excited.
You're not supposed to tell people when we're recording. There might be a swatting.
Yeah, I know. We can't let them see behind the curtain. It has to be sausage. It can't. Nobody can know how it's made. Man, it's kind of hard to choose. I've seen so many of these. It's like,
There's so many. We'll talk about this later. Actually, I don't want to talk about it now because I'll never get off of it.
yeah.
All right. There's so many things I don't want to talk about because I want to wait for the episode. So, trying to think of other things to talk about.
I could tell you, Aaron.
Oh.
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
Oh, Aaron, do you want a tarot card box?
Not at the moment.
God damn it. I made one specifically for you.
Buy specifically for me.
Yeah, it's broken.
In what way is it special for me?
It's broke.
Oh yeah, it's a broken one. Got
It's
it. Yeah.
just the broken one is for you,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Parker.
Aaron, I want you to know I've really been enjoying the other cast. I got behind in some episodes because when it's always my chore listening. Like, it's what I listen to when I'm doing chores, so I give it my full attention. I don't like trying to multitask with it, and so when I hurt my shoulder, like, I can't do any chores. Like, I haven't been able to do anything. Like, haven't been able to mow the lawn, haven't been able to do a dish, and so
You mean when you hurt your
podcast.
shoulder in 1993?
yeah, and then again in the summer, and then again in the summer, and then yet again at the beginning of the school year. I just keep re-injuring it. And so yeah, but I'm finally now getting back on the horse. Literally, I got back on.
You're on a horse?
back
No
on
wonder
my-
you get hurt so
It's
much.
got horses. It's a John Deere tractor. It's got some horsepower, but so I got back on the tractor and I was like, let's listen to a bunch of Infamous Judgment, and I'm really excited. I'm having a good time again. Honestly, Honestly, it is one of my favorite things to listen to. You guys are quality. I appreciate it.
Well, there's one listener we've won over.
That's only because he doesn't listen to MCP Infamous.
I do listen to MCP Infamous.
I
Actually,
don't believe you.
I had all of them listened to. I had finally caught up. Not all the old ones. Like probably like what episode is this? It's probably like 150 on. I had listened to. At a certain point, I got down to like around 145, and I was like, this is stuff that means nothing anymore. Like, we're talking about cards that don't exist and their viability in the meta. But I like our podcast too. I like this one also. But Judgment is new and exciting. I don't know what's going to happen next. It's fresh. Aaron, do you still feel like you're exploring Judgment, or do you feel like Judgment's already solved? Like you feel like you got it?
I do not in any way, shape, or form feel Judgment is solved. No.
Okay. You tell me what it is, and I can move on to the next game.
Ooh.
Okay, I will.
I made a 3D model from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
From scratch. Was it a soccer ball?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Was it a single cylinder on top of another cylinder, slightly smaller?
No, that's why it's too complex to describe. Not really, but all right, where is this thing?
Too complex to describe. I hope
I
hope it's just a dick and balls. I really hope.
Wouldn't that just be ideal?
It's just the 3D version of the dick flyer from Always Sunny. I really hope. Manly, like a bicep.
Here, I'm actually just going to share my screen with you guys because I think it'll actually be better. Here we go.
See, this would be the perfect opportunity to rickroll us. If he was,
I know, right? It's just going to be just Gabe Horn.
Yeah.
Just hardcore Gabe Horn. You guys see it?
Oh, cool! Oh my god, it's a cylinder on top. Oh, it's a cone on top of a cylinder.
No, it's a glass bottle.
Yeah, I know, but it is
It's just like a glass beer bottle.
Mm-hmm. But you got some curves in there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got like the parts that you need. Like
right.
you would it's hollow.
Uh-huh.
You can see inside of it, and then it's actually got the texture of glass. I added that.
What did you make this in? What app is this?
This is Fusion 360. This is what a lot of people use.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an Autodesk or it's a what company makes this? Oh, it's Autodesk is the name of the company.
I think anyway. I used Autodesk Inventor is what I know. But I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know if one's good or bad. That's just what my school bought.
But yeah, so I'm taking this like internet course on how to learn how to do 3D modeling. So
sweet,
nice.
What would you like to do with that eventually? Like create things for
I do
game
like
accessories
things. Yeah, mostly. Like what I know how to do now is mostly take stuff that already exists and modify it, and so creating new stuff is simple but also complex. Like here, I'll open it up again. But the first thing I made is actually more. Yeah, I don't know. You can see more of it, I guess. I don't know if it's actually more complex, but it's basically just a Lego piece. But making a Lego piece from scratch, like there's the hard way to do it, which is just hand draw everything. But then there's, the easier way to do is understand all like the quick functions and stuff.
So that's amazing you said that. My kids asked for exactly that from my 3D printing skills earlier before I left my last building. And I was going to say goodbye to the 3D printer forever. They wanted to 3D print something. And they found out how hard it is to just like draw at the top of a Lego brick in 3 dimensions. Because I was like, okay, what do you think we do next? And they're like, well, you put the little round things on it. I go, cool. Where do you think you put them? Right there. And so they go to like they go to print it. And it's like, this doesn't look right at all. And I was like, no, it doesn't, does it? And they're like, well, you have to measure the distance between them. I go, okay, so what's the distance between them? So it was but they went through several iterations before we finally got it. It was not easy, but it ended up a pretty cool little thing. They wanted a Lego brick, like a 6x2, that they could fit another Lego brick, an actual Lego brick inside, so that they could put like a minifigure is the idea. And so it would be like a little stand for a minifigure, and we etched their name on the side. But it was a cool idea. That my daughter actually came up with it. It was pretty cool. But they learned how technical it is just to make anything at all.
Do you see my Lego?
Oh, no, I didn't see a pop-up cut. Oh, that looks good. Dude, that's really nice. I'm sure somebody in was it Denmark is going to call you and be like, hey.
Probably. I didn't put the Lego stamp on. This is a bricks.
It's
Yeah.
a Duplo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is true. Their patent ran out a long time ago. You can make anything you want like it, as long as it's not, I think, exactly the dimensions or something. They have some sort of right to
I
that.
think it has to have like a different connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the way they do their circles, it just has to be different.
Mhm.
It can still have the same concept, just can't be the same.
Mhm.
Yeah. The most annoying thing for me is all these CAD programs, like the camera's so annoying to use because you have to have your mouse to do other things.
Right.
And so you can't have the like visual thing be tied to the mouse. And all I want to do is drag the screen around because I'm used to playing like RTSs and stuff. I'm like, God damn, this is annoying. Everything's so hard to do.
It really, like, you can't do, like, alternate click was the way it worked in Inventor. Like,
No.
you could just use,
Yeah. Yeah, like Tinkercad and all that,
Uh-huh.
like Windows 3D Builder, you just drag the screen. You can't, like, doesn't do anything. Because
Huh.
you need, like, right click to draw,
right.
and you need left click to select, and the mouse wheel, you can move the screen, but you can't rotate it.
Oh, that. Yes, that's what I know. Yes, because you rotate it with the little cube in the corner. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, 3D Builder, you can still do the cube rotation, but you can't do...
Mhm.
You can also do it with the mouse. And that's what I prefer. It's just I haven't ever done it before, so I just need to learn.
Once you
the
ever
habit.
do something like an actual 3D printing software or 3D generation software, and then you look at Tinkercad again, you're like, oh god,
Yeah.
this is so limited. It's adorable. It's great to like start on if you've never touched it before.
Right,
like,
it's great
fine.
if you're just doing like simple items, but
Yeah.
if you're like, well, I need this like slope thing, so my next course is I have to make a 3-dimensional paperclip using only like one of the tools.
That is cool. I wish you really good luck. I'm not kidding. It is.
Yeah.
The more I learned about it, the more I got like an intense appreciation for like anybody who designs anything. Like anytime I look at a 3D picture of any kind, I'm like, this took time or
like when
expertise.
Yeah, there's people making these like 3-dimensional models that are like perfect, and you're like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
the time it takes them to make one of those is incredibly short compared to how long it should take.
Mm-hmm.
The plastic printer is finally working acceptably. It is working as expected. When I put stuff on the printer, I get what I think I'm going to get, and it's not trash.
Even it's infamous Stuidos. I'm not
I know
lying
you
when I
worked
say
on that printer for a long time, so congrats, man.
Yeah.
Do you know how long?
Months?
I know it,
Plural?
it's getting close to not months.
Wow.
I bought it on Christmas Eve.
That's impressive.
It's not. It's the opposite of impressive.
You're-
impressive that I don't have
Right.
that massive gaping amount of brain matter right now.
I was going to say your persistence is what's impressive.
Yeah.
That's hardcore. I'm not going to lie. Did you keep infamous Stuidos?
Yeah, no, it's hanging. It's on
Okay.
top of my miniatures case, just
Okay.
sitting against the wall.
Okay.
I thought about
Because-
actually
Parker has a
hanging it up
request.
behind me. I thought about hanging it up behind me, so
Yeah.
that way you could just be right there every
Yeah.
time we podcast.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I think I might like that. I will buy a whole new one and just give me that faceplate because I really like infamous Stuidos. I really like it. It rolls off the tongue in a way that Studios does not.
Stuidos. I know, right? It does. It sounds fancy. It must be French.
Yeah.
Why use 3 syllables when 2 will do?
Yeah. It's one of those things where if somebody doesn't notice it, it's Studios. If somebody does notice it, they go, "Is that on purpose? Like, did they do it because like they wanted to be like mockingly kind of different than Studios?" I really like either answer. Studios.
Boy. I'm returning 2 of my 3D printers to the factory and replacing them.
Good.
Wow, that's kind of that seems like a lot. Am I crazy?
I finally got the second one approved. The first one's been approved for like 2 months to send back. But because I bought one on the Amazon store and one on their website, the Amazon store would refuse to accept the return. And for like, I've been going back and forth with them for like 3 months now. And finally, they accepted the return. I was like, oh, thank God. And so they sent me a return label. I've got the return label. It's probably going in the mail tomorrow. I'm getting rid of this thing. And then I'm going to get a new one.
Is this a fairly common thing, or is this something you're really confident that there's nothing you could do about it? This is what you have to do.
There is a software flaw in the printer, and it is really obscure and lesser known. But it's a smaller company that makes these, and then also on top of that, it is a really specific model that they came out with that most people don't get. And so it's like a specialty of a specialty, so there's not a lot of people using this specific printer. Because it's this weird, like, in-between high-end, right? It's like you get one of those, like, well, it's not quite an iPad Pro, but it's also not like a Fire tablet. And so, like, it's this weird in-between. So most people are either buying the Fire tablet or the super high-end, right?
Right.
And so it falls, like, in the middle, and so just there's not a lot of people using it. And even still, I found dozens of people having the same issue, and there's just a weird software flaw with it, and it has, like, if you run anti-aliasing, which is a feature in the software to remove the voxel lines, which are like the layer lines for resin. If you run this feature on the software, you'll get a 25% occurring unrecoverable error, and it'll just end your print. And so you'll just waste a quarter of your prints if you don't know how to fix it. And there's just no way to fix it.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like the modern era it's so interesting, the transparency of like manufacturer defects, because before you had to be like, there was only a few things, like a few products that you'd be like a car, for example, like you bring up to a repair guy, and the repair guy had seen so many make and model of this vehicle, he could say, oh yeah, this make and model had this problem. It's just kind of congenital with the way it was made. And you go, oh, okay, cool. And they know how to fix it. But in the modern era, you could be like, this toaster, everyone knows this toaster has this one problem. And nobody knew that because there's no way to share it before, right? People would just, but now you go on reviews and things and you see it. And it's been bizarre to me how a couple different times recently I've bought something a little bit technically more complex, and every time somebody said, you should probably check out the Amazon reviews, and I check them out, and lo and behold, there's this really consistent pattern. Well, you'll get exactly this white screen of death, or when you're holding this button down, it will fail and you have to buy a new one. And you're just like, like clearly something is wrong with this device, and they push it out to the public anyway, assuming they're going to have to eat the cost of returns no matter what, right? They're willing to do that. But because of this era, I can just avoid that product and just find one that doesn't have that
the digital age.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me. Aaron, do you take advantage of that a lot? I know you like to research like things a lot when you buy things, but is that only for big stuff, or do you do it for little stuff too?
Depends. I try to focus on the big stuff, but I've occasionally, saved pennies.
Yeah, I just bought two things for my shoulder the other day. One was a cooling pad, and the other one was a TINS unit, one of those ones that like medical massage. And I decided both of them were like $35 a piece, but I decided to go ahead and find out which one would be best because I don't like my arm, hurting. And the variance was actually pretty extreme, and it was all based on like, this device doesn't do X, or this device does break this way, and it was really consistent amongst reviews.
Yeah. Once you know how to spot fake reviews, it's pretty easy to get good information.
And
which
now,
is a whole new problem that's happened in like the last 5 years, I think, or at least that's why I noticed it.
Another fun thing that's happened. Okay, I think the overuse of AI is adorable because of how it's just hot tech nonsense, because people want to buy and sell new products, and so they strap the word AI on it and they add a functionality that's unnecessary. But in this particular case, it makes perfect sense when Amazon uses an AI to scrape all the reviews for a device. If you have 14,000 reviews, and then it says, when we look at all these reviews, we found these patterns, and you're like, that is actually fucking useful, because that saves me going through thousands of reviews or hundreds of reviews or even tens of reviews, and it'll find some of these things. And that's how I discovered a lot of it. I didn't trust the AI, I didn't just take its word for it. I also looked at some of the sources, but it was really interesting. For the first time, I found something that I was like, this actually really helps me. Thank you, AI. All these other things probably are unnecessary, but this specific thing is really
What
useful.
is it like something specific you're doing, or you just type in the link into the chat GBT and you're like, hey, can you tell me what the reviews say?
No.
Like,
Right now, Amazon has embedded the AI. So now, if you
they're
go
just
to it,
doing it for you.
if you go to the Amazon page and you scroll down to the review section, no longer does it just start giving you reviews. It tells you the overall score, and then right underneath that it says, an AI has examined all the reviews, and this is the trend it saw. And so it'll give you like a little paragraph. People said this was reliable. People said it did. It did this. A number of people reported the same malfunction, and this is the malfunction. And you're like, that's pretty fucking cool. And so then you can, look through the reviews yourself and look for those patterns and see how prevalent they are. But that was the first time I was like, wow, thank you, AI. Like, this tool is actually really good for precisely this. I think there are some other things you could use AI for. Not saying it's only good for one thing, but that was the first time that something, powered by AI, it was actually exactly appropriate. Like, I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm so glad this thing exists.
So it almost looks like a synopsis review where it's
Yeah.
like, basically, this is what most of the reviews say.
Yeah.
I just never. I always skip past it and just read the actual reviews.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize I was scrolling past it.
It's pretty new. It's fairly new. And it's the perfect application, right? Because all AI does is just assemble a lot of things in a predictive pattern according to the information it can scrape, and it's really like exactly what you want, right? Somebody to read every single reviews and look for trends and give it to you in a way that makes sense, right?
I still don't trust most of it.
Yeah.
Trust reviews or
like the
AI.
snippets at the top of like your either Google search or Amazon. Not that it's wrong, but it's usually too simplistic.
Oh yeah. I do not trust the Amazon AI they've embedded in that is I don't like it at all. It's terrible. I don't want it to scrape all the internet for data. It'll give me something misleading. And I think it's up to the consumer to actually look for some of the actual reviews. If you just trust the AI, then you could be screwed.
It's not fact checking it either. It's
No.
just saying we found this reply the most, and you're like, well, that's not exactly the correct answer. That's just,
and
that's like my popular vote.
Right, and that's exactly why I liked specifically the use of AI in exactly an Amazon product, because
you want to know what people say.
Right. You're like tell me all their opinions.
Say?
Yeah, like tell me their opinions. If I'm asking for a specific fact, I don't want to know people's fact-like opinions. I want to know somebody's opinions. So I think it's in that way. It's really it seems the word is much more appropriate, right? It seems like an appropriate place. Because you're right, Aaron. It seems it is you should have the most monstrous grain of salt every time you look at an AI's response to anything that you're asking for factually. Yeah,
I think it'd be cool if they went through and used AI to identify fake reviews and just remove them.
That's interesting.
I think that'd be way better because there's so many. If you, especially like the cheap Chinese brands, because they basically just put up a contract posting. And you get like 50 cents for reviewing their item.
Yep.
And so just buy like 100 reviews and they'll all be 5-star glowing reviews of people that never bought it. And so it's like, well, this is fucking lying. Like, not only is it lying, it's stupid and wasteful.
Right.
And they're usually really easy to spot. It's just annoying because you have to filter through them.
I don't know if this exists, but have you ever wondered if some people reviewing things are shitposting? Because I often click on the 1-star reviews, right? Because I want to know why. It's always bizarre to me when the 1-star review says it sucked. Like they're just like that's their whole description. Yeah, it's like that's it. I'm like, this seems like you're shit posting. Did you actually buy this? Is always my wonder. I'm always wondered if anybody actually. If somebody goes, somebody
if
describes
it's like
why,
this is
fine.
junk or something,
yes.
Like usually I'm like, yeah, that guy probably was just frustrated.
Yeah,
like he's like, it's just crappy. Because sometimes you buy cheap shit on Amazon and it's amazing, and sometimes you buy cheap shit on Amazon and it's trash.
Yeah.
So.
Also, one last thing about Amazon, then we can get off this. Are you at all getting nervous about the amount of time it takes Amazon to give you a thing? I'm starting to get really nervous because I was with you like a month ago because I was getting stuff in under 2 hours. Yeah.
I was like, that's too fast. You need to slow down. If you're at my house before I can make dinner, that's too fast.
Yes. I'm getting, like, someone somewhere is getting fucked, right? Like, there's no way. There's no way this isn't, this isn't absolutely terrible for somebody. Somewhere, somebody isn't getting to pee. There's shit in a corner somewhere. Like, somewhere.
Well, the crazy stuff is, like, I got
happened.
mailed something from California, and it took, like, 7 days to get here. I'm like, what is this bullshit? Like, like, where's my stuff? It should have been here 5 days ago.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe traveling, like, 9 states was fine.
Right. And when that happens, I go, you know what? I can handle it. I'll wait. And when somebody comes to me the next day, I go, okay, that's fairly reasonable. It takes some time, but 24 hours. If they're working overnight or got trucks running overnight, like, okay, that's reasonable. When I order something at 7 o'clock and it gets there at 11 o'clock, I go, what?
Yeah. The craziest one I had, I ordered something at 3:15 and it was there before 5. And I was like, what the? Like, you guys.
Yeah.
How did you, like there was just a guy sitting at the warehouse with a van. And, like, the order, like, there's a siren that goes off when I place the order.
Yeah.
5 people start sprinting through the warehouse. Like, hold on, how did you get this to me? Because I live, like the place I got it was 45 minutes away from the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no fucking way.
I picture one person holding each product, and as soon as it goes off, they just start sprinting.
That would be slower than what they do.
Yeah. I hope it's robots. I hope it's automation. I hope that's what's
they
doing
do have
it.
a lot of automation, but, like, it is touched by people. Also.
Right, I know. And somebody's getting exploited.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the Mojo world. Hopefully I don't have to find more, because I actually like the ones I have. I've got an ultra spicy one if you guys push me to it.
Push in.
Okay, well,
all right.
Let's see how that goes.
Here we go. This week on Mojo World, we've got Sean Connery movies. I'll be going first, then Parker, and then Aaron. You guys ready?
I'm a little bit interested, before we get started. You know what? Yeah, I think before we get started. I love all the movies on my list. I don't think there's any good movies on my list. Is that? Did you guys think the same thing?
There should be at least one good movie on your list. Actually, 2. There should be 2 legitimately good movies on your list.
Okay, but
there's a lot of, like, excepts, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a good movie, except
So, FYI,
but when it comes to Sean Connery, I tend to like the accept movies even more, which is why he's a fun actor.
There's something that's so much, like, I don't know how he chooses so many, like, wonderful cult movies that are ostensibly probably bad cinematically, but they're so much fun to watch. It's interesting.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the one legitimate good movie on this list.
Okay.
The Untouchables.
Okay. Then I had 2 others. I think there are 2 other, like, legitimately good movies. Maybe somebody could argue. I'm sure somebody would argue with me.
I'm sure many people would argue with you.
Yeah. Nope, I only have one. I'm looking at it twice.
God damn it. All right, Parker, your pick.
I'm going to go with my one that I think is actually a good movie. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That was my next one. All right, Aaron. You got back-to-backs. Can you name a single good movie in 2 picks?
I'm sure one of mine will be
it's getting
acceptable
thin.
Good movie. We're going to take Highlander and The Rock.
That's 2 of mine.
Okay, unfortunately, neither of those are good movies.
They're not.
The Rock is the closest by far. If you've ever watched The Highlander as an adult, please don't. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But it's such a stupid
There could be
movie.
only one.
Have you seen the comedian that makes fun of the movie Highlander? It's so funny. He's like, all right, let me tell you about the most magical movie I've ever seen, right? In this movie, it's about an eternal Scottish warrior who is immortal and has to defeat these other immortals in mortal combat. And in this movie, Sean Connery plays a Spanish guy. What?
And he makes no attempt to hide his
makes
accent.
Zero attempt to do anything about his accent whatsoever. All right. Parker, you're up next. This is going to get rough fast.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with... this is a really big movie from my childhood. It's a pillar of my childhood. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Ooh.
He is a tiny cameo in that movie, but I'm still doing it.
Is the king at the end, right?
Yeah, he's the king. He's King Richard at the end.
Yeah.
Tiny cameo, but I love this.
Speaking of, like, the kings in just the kings in Robin Hood movies have some pretty good actors. I believe there's also a Patrick Stewart somewhere in there. All right. So for me, I'm gonna go Dragonheart.
I don't know. My list is getting
His
pretty
list
short.
is depleted.
Yeah.
And now one I'm sure nobody else chose because I'm only doing this for the memes, but also I do love this movie. It's hilarious. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I wondered if somebody was going to do it.
It's so fun. It's so terrible, but it's so
man.
fun to watch. It's also got a lot of good actors in it. Anyway.
That's actually one of those movies that when I watch it, I go, "What was Sean thinking?" Like, there are lots of
And
bad
so
movies.
we'll talk about that right after we're done. All
Okay.
right. Parker, your final pick.
I'm gonna go with. Man, this is tough.
I also just couldn't think of any other Sean Connery's movies.
Yeah, I've seen so many of these.
It's so thin, and once you get to the bottom, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Once you get past like the first 6, it's like, oh, these are not good. Like,
oh my gosh, I'm double checking. Oh, of course. Why did I almost forget this movie? I'm gonna do it right now. Hunt for the Red October. I
forgot. I haven't seen it all the way through, but
I love Hunt for the Red October. Don't watch that movie if you know anything about submarines. Because
I know
it's
literally everything about submarines.
It's very frustrating, but if you know nothing about submarines, you'll love
Down Periscope.
it. That movie is fucking wonderful. I love
is
that
great.
movie.
Aaron, final pick. Take it home. Goldfinger. You mean Goldmember?
You heard me.
Okay. So, in an interview, and this is back to what Parker was talking about, they asked Sean Connery how he picks the movies he's in, and he just blatantly tells the person in the interview, I have no fucking idea how to rate a movie. I just used to say yes to anything, and they would put me in all these weird-ass movies, and then they would become hits, and I was like, this is incredible. Apparently anything I'm in is just a good movie. And then he was like, somebody offered him a role so stupid, he said, that he's like, there's no way this could ever be good. So he turned down The Matrix. And then after that, he's like, okay, maybe I should just say yes to any movie. And that's when he said yes to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And he's like, and after that, he just said, I threw my hands up. I don't care. I have no idea how this works. Oh, I did think of another movie, Entrapment. I should have put Entrapment on there. I like that movie.
I enjoyed The First Night.
It is,
but
it's probably
it's
bad.
Goofy.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Sean Connery movies because, he was in his heyday before I was, like, watching movies. Anybody have some honorable mentions?
Mine was The First Night. I've seen so many of his movies, but so many of them, my dad was a huge fan, and I was probably like 10 when I saw a lot of them, 10 to 15, and I can't remember, like, if you asked me, like, what's the plot of Entrapment, I'd be like, I don't remember, like, I know I saw it.
It was one of the original heist movies, kind of, but not really.
Funnily enough, as much of a big fan as he was only a fan of like 80s and 90s Sean Connery. I never watched any of the Bonds. Later I did, but never with my dad.
It's just a like it's its own style, right? Like if you're not into Bond movies, you're not into them. So,
Sean Connery is given some credit for Highlander, but oh my gosh, what is his name? Is it Chris Lambert? Yeah, Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
He acts so fucking hard in that movie, like way too hard. But it's just bizarre and wonderful to watch him. Like that weird thing he does when he laughs but doesn't laugh. I don't understand. I love it.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't know how to talk as a person.
Yeah.
He does the same thing in Mortal Kombat when he's writing. He's like, he just whisper talks the entire movie, and you're like, he's like, my name is Christopher Lambert. And you're like, what are you saying? It's like, do you have bronchitis? What's happening?
I need to see more. I've only seen his like goofy, sci-fi fantasy stuff. He's been in a ton of things.
so many other types of movies.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, you guys ready to get on this?
I will be really excited to see this vote. That's the last thing I'll say. I think it's anybody's game.
I'm sure. Let's see. Let me take a look.
I
can guess who
I
it
will
is.
be really excited if it's like 7-7-7 perfect tie. That's what I'm
It's
excited.
not. No one's gonna vote for me.
Says the man who wins 80% of the things we do.
Yeah.
No, I've definitely taken a step back. I think we've had a pretty fair share of winners, except for Parker.
Yeah, I'm Captain Throw. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron usually throws intentionally at the end by picking the last movie.
That is not an intentional throw.
That's whatever you say, man. Like,
He comes by it honestly.
It's a choice.
that's intentional. Yeah.
It is
So we're in
intentional,
agreement.
yes. It's an intentional hope that our listenership will have a fucking brain for once.
Ooh,
Yikes.
wow.
There's the
I
throw.
talk down
There's
to our
the throw.
listeners. Oh.
Everyone who already voted is going to change their vote right now.
Oh shit. Shots fired. I love it.
Yeah.
I think Untouchables might carry my list, but picking first in a topic where there's only 4 good ones is really hard. Alrighty, well, let's get into it. Here we go.